Welcome to Thrive and Rise with Tiffany. I'm your host, Tiffany Tilley. I want you to take a moment to like, subscribe, and share because you're going to want to share this. We have an amazing guest, Quintaria Brunson. She's from Michigan, but she lives in the DMV area. She's doing some amazing things in real estate, in generational wealth building, and she's going to empower us today. I also want you to take a moment to go and get the Know Thyself Book Series. We want to make sure that you are implementing the books in along with the podcast.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now.
Call 855-662-0261. That's 855-662-0261. Again, 855-662-0261.
Hi, I'm the tax lady. Do you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS? Then listen carefully. You may be able to pay the IRS less and save thousands of dollars because right now there are special government tax programs for people like you who owe the IRS. We can even help you if you have unfiled tax returns. And if you qualify, you'll pay less money to the IRS or state. Stop worrying about wage garnishments and bank levies and call the number on the screen right now for a free tax review. We know what you're going through. We help good people like you every day pay the IRS or state less taxes all the time. If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, call now for your free, no-obligation consultation with a tax professional. Don't fight the IRS alone. Call the Tax Ladies team today.
Call the Tax Lady at 877-335-7471. Call now.
Quintaria,
Hello.
it is so awesome to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Super excited to be here.
I'm super excited for you to be here too. One of my first friends
No, right?
ever in life.
I don't even think we had an option. It was, yeah.
We didn't have an option, but
But it worked out.
It worked out because some people don't have that option and then they decide they don't like the person, but we love each other,
Yes,
so that
yes.
works. And I'm so proud of all of the work that you are doing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about the things that you're doing for generational wealth building. Really, as we focus on health and wellness on this series and we focus on leadership, we also focus on finances. And so want to make sure that people are empowered in mind, body, and soul, but also finances. So that's a big piece. And you're doing a lot. Tell us some of the things that you're doing.
Well, thank you for the introduction. My name is Quintaria Brunson. many call me Madam CEO because of the work and the strategy that I provide. What I do is I help families and business owners in particular structure their wealth in ways that they can live the legacy now and they can leave a legacy in the future. So we're really big on showing families and business owners how to operate in privacy, how to, in addition to growing their wealth, how to protect their wealth, understanding the tax code, understanding how putting certain principles in place and guidelines in place can almost guarantee that your legacy can live for 100 years, 200 years. But I am the owner of a strategic firm that puts together plans and packages structuring financial growth for business owners and families.
That's awesome. And that's an awesome concept, because I know you talk about building the family and the family being a business and creating family plans. And so many of us need to sit down with our families and not only just, as an individual plan, but plan with our families so that we can create a legacy. So tell us about the family plans that you create.
And I even want to start, Tiffany, with I was doing so much strategy, learning so much, and I got to a point a few years ago where God kind of convicted me and was like, you're teaching the world. You've been on, national platforms, received awards and things of that nature. And I don't know if my aunts or uncles, if my brother or sister, if all of their paperwork is in order. So I realized that I could not be hypocritical and save the world. And, I love what I do, but I needed to do the real work of making sure my family was good outside of just my children, right? So when I went back and was like, hey, family, I know I'm just the niece or the daughter or whatever, but some of the things that I'm doing in the community, we need to share that as well too. And it took a little time, not a lot, for us to kind of figure it out, but we were able to create a family crest. We were able to design a family plan. We were able to restart our family reunions, but for tax purposes, say, don't use the word reunion because there are ways that you can write it off fully when you set it up in other ways. But it was such a blessing, and it gave me even more insight when I was working with families and talking to other families, because I could say firsthand that this is what you should be doing, and this is how I have blessed my family and how I'm working with my family, and even how I've learned things from my family that I was able to apply as a businesswoman, and then just to take the pride to know that I'm not just solely working on my immediate family, like I said, my children and my household, that my whole family, how dare I preach generational wealth, and I don't make sure that my extended family is good too. So
before we dive into what a family plan looks like, let's scale it back a little bit, just because I know that there are viewers who are watching that have extended families and they may not talk or may not have the best communication within the family. They may have family issues, which most families have level.
There are family issues.
There will be family issues. So how do you deal with that? How do you go around that?
So I'll say this. Families contain humans. Humans are imperfect.
Yes.
I'm not perfect. I was coming with the skills, talents, resources, and level of expertise that I had.
Yeah.
And just like I shared just a moment ago, I had to realize that even if an aunt or an uncle or my mother was not a financial strategist, didn't have a certain degree, they had certain concepts, and they still had value that they could add. So what I will say is this when it comes to family. Our families are not perfect, but start with the ones who raise their hand and say, I'm interested, I'll work with you. Because if you start with 3 or 4, and they start to see you grow, and you start laying some foundation, and because it will help you to build a better level of camaraderie, learning to communicate better with one another, having some wins, having some high fives with families eases tension in other areas too. But other family members will come along. They will, and even for those who may not, the goal is to set a blueprint that you can pass along, moving in, to pass along for those descendants who are coming in the future. So I say start with whoever is ready in the family to start. Allow God or your creator, however you need to find your peace or whatever, to just continue to allow you all to leave space and room and grace for those who may come on later. But know that it is better to start with a few. You know what? Where two or three are gathered. It's better to start with a few. God will be in the midst. Yes. It is so much better to start with a few. And although I'm not a family therapist specialist at all, I will say that even with my own family, those meetings helped us to resolve certain issues, helped us to face certain things, helped us even to realize that uncle that you feel like is just so, you're like, I just don't get him, he gets on my nerves or whatever the situation may be. These meetings give you an intentional, purpose-filled place where you may be like, you know what? Maybe I may not, ask him to fix my car if my tire is flat, but you can find value in your family members. Another thing I do want to add when it comes to family, and I may be showing, a more familiar side of me in this, but think about a family that prays. Or my mother was just watching this, what is that? The Beauty in Black, right? Yes. These movies where I don't care how wayward a family member is, I don't care how disconnected they are, when it's time for a board meeting, they have to be there. They had to report, and we don't have to like family. Heck, you may not even love them. That's a whole nother podcast, right?
A whole other podcast, definitely.
When you go back to what God intended family to be, there is not a family that exists that does not have core elements that we can come together and build something together that is sustainable. Yes. So the entertainment mimics life, and it mimics the divine order of God. So just think of the movies you may have seen, certain conversations you've heard about trust fund babies and they're intoxicated, but they pull up to that board meeting because they don't want to be, we can move and activate our family like billionaires do even before we're at billionaire status. So I just wanted to drop that kernel to let people know that perfect families don't exist. So to wait for a perfect family, to set up a financial plan, to build your legacy, to say, I want to have a family crest. That was one of the most exciting things in our family financial meeting, my family, is when we created our motto, we created our family crest. It was so exciting that some of those problems that we may have had 10 years ago, 10 months ago, it didn't matter. We all had a level of solidarity. So I just want to give that insight to people to know that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be you. And you still can cover it with legal entity protection. You still can advance it, even broken, not right. Like I said, going back to those movies, the families show you that most of the people are weird, different, doing things that are not so productive. But the family who understands working together, having a family office, having businesses together, we still can win.
So whatever you have going on in your family, whatever people are doing, it doesn't matter. Everyone can come to the table for this.
We can.
And there's an African proverb that I love. If you want to go far, or if you want to go, I'm messing it up now. I had it in my mind a few seconds ago. Yes. If you want to go fast,
go alone.
But if you want to go far, go together.
Yes.
And so we want people to come together. I love what you're doing. Tell us more about the plan itself?
Okay, so for family legacy plans, everything from my social media handle to packages that we offer, even our menu of services says legacy. I love, love, love legacy. As you know firsthand, I was so connected to my grandmother. And so I saw legacy and how generations work together and how we could be 70 years apart, but still have a love and a way that we work together. So I am all about legacy. Like God probably sprinkled extra legacy in my batter when he made me. But when it comes to a family legacy plan, it is the family coming together to intentionally structure what usually the family is already doing. So I want to even go back a little further because, I am a woman who loves God, and learning to build with God is truly how I have the level of success that I do, that I have the hope and I trust and I know the places that I am headed to in terms of success. But I want to take a step back for people to just remember and be reminded that a lot of the things that we subscribe to or feel that, well, everybody does it, so I have to. Divinely, we don't necessarily have to do that, even from the divine family structure, the principle of privacy. When God sent Jesus to earth, he hid him in a family. Mary and Joseph didn't go out on social media and blast it out. Hey, yo, he here. He was groomed and nurtured and and trained, taught culture, given opportunities to grow. And then at 30 years old, he popped on the scene with the tools and the resources that had been put in him through privacy. And before we even get into family legacy, understanding that you have a right to a level of privacy. Many families are growing now. Wealth is increasing. We have a lot more 6-figure and even 7-figure earners in our communities now.
Yes.
But it's so public. They're so exposed. They're overly exposed.
Yes.
So to understand a family legacy, one must first understand that I've got to unlearn to relearn what the dominant culture has taught me. Or I love the book, The 4 Agreements. I'm an avid reader, but that book really allowed me to see and really begin to move so strongly in this privacy, in the space of becoming more private, in the space of knowing what my sovereignty was, because it just showed me that it's a lot of things that were assigned to me that I didn't agree to,
Yes. And you just mentioned your sovereignty. People don't know what that, a lot of people don't know it. Some people know, but a lot of people still don't know what being sovereign is. So what does that mean?
It's essentially being your own nation. Being your own nation, understanding that regardless of the country you are in, now you may have to you should do research to understand certain things or whatever, but by our God, our creator, you were born a soul being that has the right to move, grow, and thrive. Thrive and rise, baby.
Thrive and rise.
Under his dominion.
Yes.
And be it knowing or unknowing, so many of us surrender God-given rights to certain authority levels, and I have learned, and I proudly stand in a place where I am taking those things back. And like I said, it was because of pivotal moments when I realized, hey, I wonder if I can push back on this. And a lot of times when people think of being sovereignty, they think of the Moors. My aunt was a Moor, and I've known a lot of Moors, and that is something that they have pushed for a very long time. So how does sovereignty in the way that you mean it help with the family plan, family business, or an individual in their business? If you choose to join a tribe or a community like that, that is perfectly fine. But you still have the right to claim and live in the nation that is you. Mind,
So
body, spirit,
legally,
and soul.
for people who don't know, legally, what would they need to do to become sovereign?
It's not truly complicated, but the number one thing, Tiffany, is to know in your mind that you have the right to disconnect from any and every entity that's out there.
And what would the benefits be?
Living privately, moving privately. There, I will say this, I can think of so many benefits for me. I have a level of liberation and freedom that most people I'm around are so oppressed. They're so boggled down. I worry about nothing. And I'm not just saying that to sound like, like I want a viral moment or something. I truly work. I see people, they get a bill in the mail and they lose their minds. And, I know that, if it was in all caps and it was sent to the entity that my mother connected a social security number to, that may or may not be something that the sovereign being of Quintaria Brunson is obligated to, and it has given me the confidence to stand up in what God and I decide I am privately. So there are, and I'm trying to think of what small kernels, because I don't want to lose people, because it is so deep that, people like, I don't want to play with that. But the number one thing is your mindset. Knowing that you were born free.
Yes.
You were born free, and you have a right to do the research and redefine what freedom looks like for you.
And it is deep. Even when we are born, essentially, we are working for the United States, and we are making money for the United States. That is the plan. And it's the plan for other people born in other nations, but really to a great degree here with the market system, the way that it's set up. So love the idea of sovereignty. I think a lot of people, and it does take a lot of research to understand.
But the number one thing I want to make sure is that you know that it is out there. There are individuals and it may not be people that you see every day, because once you master the art of privacy and know, we don't speak as loud about certain things. We don't have to, because we're winning so much in our private space, and we know that for many people it's a concept that is so vast and so foreign. And I don't want to sound like a Matrix, conspiracy theorist, but so many people have been so indoctrinated that I couldn't even have this level of conversation with them. But knowing that you are free, your children, I am connected to individuals that if you want to have your child in the United States free, born free, without some of what they make you believe you must have, I can show you step by step how to connect with those resources and have your children born free, how you can move in freedom. But privacy is what our country was founded on. And it is amazing how now so many people, like I said, just give over certain rights or believe that they must because of, just that is culturally what is customary now. But it doesn't mean that it has to be how you live. So if you want liberation and freedom, and even if you don't want to go as deep as I do, many may not, but you still need to understand from a mindset point of view that your family office is whatever I say it is.
So tell us about the family office.
So the family office and the family plan, a family office is essentially CEOing your family. However your family is structured now, like I said, all of it goes back to divinity, however you define that. But I have not met a family that doesn't have a CEO already in it. I've not met a family that doesn't already have a COO already in place. I haven't met a family that doesn't have a marketing strategist, a communications lead.
CFO.
Thank you.
Yes.
On and on and on. So a family office just allows you to add a layer of privacy a protection, right? Through using trust, using LLCs, but your family office gives your family true direction, you're executing it like a business. And so many families hope and wish for wealth, wish that their children, like take their money or their talents and use them well. We even hope for ourselves. Hope is not a strategy.
Yes.
Hope
and
is not a strategy.
It really is about strategizing. It's strategy to wealth building.
Yes.
It's not something, it's very few people that just wished and prayed and got a lottery ticket.
Thank you.
And overnight they became wealthy.
And even with a lottery ticket, you better have a plan.
Yes.
Or it will be eaten up in ways that it may not need to be.
Yes.
But when you look at cultures that are winning, they operate in family offices. When you look at communities of the wealthy, they have family meetings.
Yes.
Going back to when I was mentioning, just thinking about the movies that we see when they talk about families, like I said, Pete might be overseas in Italy, in a, being completely derelict, or anything. But when it's time for that board meeting, he must report to the family. So that is the basic idea of a family office, because going back to that proverb, we win better together. We have been intentionally lied to and misled to believe that you need to be an individual. You can't trust your family. I don't get along with them. Once you begin to see that the very same communities that pour that into our community, that pump that into our community, when you look at how their families are structured, it's totally different. Years ago, my background is in accounting. And so when I first, started applying those accounting skills or whatever, I would be in charge of writing grants, getting funding for many of the companies, doing audits for nonprofits and for-profits. And some of the business owners would start inviting me to their house. Like if we had, a huge funding project and they want, like, hey, come by the house, and and I would see that the little kids, the teenagers, the seniors would be right at the table while we're handling business. And I thought, like I can understand this. These concepts are simple, not easy all the time, but they're simple concepts. And I didn't see my family or my community having these types of things. My mother, she kept a budget, was very strict on a budget, had it on the wall, but never did she sit down with me and say, hey, I do this. I saw things happening. My grandmother owned every house that her children lived in. She had 5 kids. She would buy a house, pay it down, put a child in it. Buy another house, pay it down, put another child in it. But no one ever sat me down and really showed me what that means and all of that. And being around in other communities, seeing that their children were right there next to me. I got to go back to the office tomorrow and write the grant or apply for the funding. And their 7-year-old is playing with their spaghetti,
learning,
sitting right there and I realized that the propaganda and the lies that are pumped in our community. That's why if you read my bios, when people go to my website, I am serious about intentionally breaking the lies that have been poured in our community to keep us connected to a system that was never designed to give us wealth. However,
at all,
we can use those same systems. We can use those tax codes and incorporate our indigenous traditions. And if you don't even remember those, or you don't have ancestors or older family members, then you create your own, right?
Yes.
But I realize that families that win, families that have, names that go on in perpetuity, are because they were intentional with that. And we must be intentional too. And
I love the way that you title things. You can be the CEO, COO, CFO. You can be the marketing manager. We need all of those components because everybody needs to understand their role and their responsibility.
Yes.
And if you title it and you explain the roles and responsibilities, then people can begin to live up to those roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Far too often in families, we do not identify who's the matriarch, who's the patriarch, what's your role as a child, what's your role as a child, what do you bring to the table? Because it should not fall all on one person.
It shouldn't.
It takes the whole family to keep the family afloat and keep the family moving and keep the family good and to create wealth.
Yes.
It's so much easier to do it together.
Even family recipes.
Yes.
If you don't have the kids in the kitchen, like, how do we know how to make the peach cobbler or the lasagna or whatever it is?
Yes.
And, so it goes even deeper than just the finances. But I'm a financial strategist, so I'm going to point out the financial components for sure.
Yes.
But it is so you create the culture and the legacy for your family. I love that because I really see that even in this body, it may only have 80 years, 90 years, 110 years, hear me, Lord, but the things that I'm doing today, this conversation we're having today, 200-300 years from now, this can still that's how I can live forever.
Yes.
Is put, or at least well beyond my time on earth.
Yeah.
And I think that I owe that to myself. I am committed to my legacy. And gosh darn it, I am just sick of people believing the lies of I hate to sound like a power to the people, but it kind of is what believing the lies of those who never intended for you to win,
Yes.
who never intended for you to be more than just a consumer.
And every time we start to win, they change the game.
Thank you.
We saw it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've seen it in Detroit. We've seen it throughout the United States. Over 1,000 U.S. cities were put underwater or towns that were Black owned, where there were thriving businesses, thriving towns. We know that there have been systemic barriers put in place, from redlining to all kinds of things, insurance, housing,
every
health.
department in the United States, there is not, from transportation to education to every department,
and especially education,
has intentionally kept us out. But
education is definitely power, and there are many ways that we can educate ourselves, from the public system to going to college to being a part of a CTE program, but also listening to podcasts like this, getting the information, contacting you, making sure that they are a part of what you're doing is very important as well.
Certainly.
Yes.
And I love what you're saying about education. And this goes back to understanding sovereignty, understanding privacy. Although we can leverage the governmental systems, although we can leverage because we live in a world. That's why I love in but not of. Like, we do live in, a society, but you don't have to be of it. But we should be, we being the family, the mothers, the fathers, the aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, we should have our own, first give education to our family. Your family creed, your family motto, your family, so that when our children are in the world, when we're in the world, we're in but not of. I can be in society, and now I see it so readily. It's like it's highlighted everywhere. The more that I've learned and how I operate privately, I can quickly see so much oppression, so many bad decisions. But we should be training and arming and preparing our children to go out.
And like you said, everybody else does it. Jewish families do it. Arab families do it. Asian families do it. Hispanic families do it.
But we've been trained like, oh, no. Don't, and many of us have recognized the lies, and I think what makes me different is I don't just recognize it. I have taken a sounding board and I am shouting to the masses, like, let's no longer be fooled. Let's no longer, watch what people do, even those that you may not like, that you feel like, because one thing I always tell individuals who come and be like, the wealthy, they crooks and they all got these loopholes. The same tax code that is available to millionaires is available to someone working at Best Buy for $12 an hour. You have to read, you have to know, and going back to sovereignty and knowing that, hold on, I don't just have to take this life that someone else is pushing on me. I have the right to design the life that I want. And going back to family legacy plans and things of that nature, my firm and myself in particular remind families that you have the right to design the family that you want, and there are financial benefits that go along with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that you're not just shouting it, you're helping people, you're training people, you're equipping people. And that also, not only does the mother and father, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles have roles, the cousins, the sons, the daughters, everyone has a role and everyone can contribute.
And like you said, just look in your neighborhood or text me and I'll send you some neighborhoods to ride through, and you'll see stores, shops, facilities where we're getting our nails done, hair braided or whatever. Like, you can't find a non-family member in those places. So not that we need to adjust or anything, but wealth has a system. Success leaves clues, baby. The evidence is right there in many of our face. And going back to what I said about many people thinking that, oh, that's for them and not me, that's why our mindset is so important. Because one, I can't help your family break free from this if you're living in such a scarcity mindset and you're afraid of everything, and and you feel that, oh, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you have to at least come with a point like, I don't know what I can do, but myself and my family are excited to learn. We're open to learn. I'm not expecting you to go from one day having all W-2 income to in 24 hours, like you've quit your job and all of that, but you can take steps every day, intentional, disciplined steps, and before you know it, being a millionaire, having millions saved, and even without even millions, just to me, the money is just a byproduct of having a legacy that my children will know what to do when I transition, that their children know what to do. Tiffany, when I say one of the greatest joys that I have is that I designed a 100-year wealth plan for my children's children's children. My granddaughter is 6 years old now. Wow. The day that she was born, I wrote a letter to her grandchildren, whom I'll probably never meet. And I just write a love letter to them. I have something in place for them to win. I have structure, even if now it's gonna be some dimes in there for them. Yes. But even if it isn't a dime, I've left a scroll. I've left a blueprint for them to win, for them to say, here are the pitfalls that I've experienced, that my grandmother experienced, that my grandfather experienced, and here is what is important to our family, and I am passing this along to you in a sacred, private way so that you can win as well too. That is my greatest joy, and one of the things that I love when the light bulb comes on for my business owners. I love when the light bulb comes on for my families and they realize, if she did that, I can too. I wish I had, a love letter from someone 100 years ago. And even though I didn't, I am giving my children's children's children what I would have wanted so that they can win. Every generation does not have to hit Control, Alt, Delete and get it out the mud every time. We shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. But I want to make sure that we give people some real, some action items that they can do now. The one thing I will say, Tiffany, is have a family meeting. Even if it's quarterly, no less than quarterly. Monthly may even be better, but have a family meeting. If you would like to partner with strategists like myself, that's perfect. I think that knowing when to allow experts into your space. I heard a conversation that you had with another guest, and you all were talking about sometimes you've got to trust and let somebody else be your eyes and ears before you fully understand something so that you can win.
Jewel Tankard.
Yes. If you wait until you know everything, you'll have nothing. I share this story in many places that I speak, and I want to share it here just to add value and context to this. I had my first, well, back then it was a large tax bill. It was $68,000, and I'm talking to family and friends, people who hadn't, if they made $68,000, but I'm talking to them about this bill of 60, and I can't believe it, like what is happening or whatever, and they're, Quintaria, the government don't want you to get ahead and all of this and I was like, I felt supported in that.
And that's huge. And I just want to, because that's huge, because there are people that don't even make $68,000 a year.
Thank you. And and that's going to be the kicker when I wrap this all up.
Yes.
So I'm talking to individuals and they're supporting me on the level they're on, right? I go to a meeting with these individuals that I have been working with. I was the component that was structuring opportunities for them with their hedge funds and real estate opportunities and things of that nature. No one looked like me. I was the only one of us in this space. And I'm talking to these gentlemen that we've done deals and all of that. And something came up and I'm venting like, because I got this $68,000 tax bill I got to deal with, and not to mention what I owe the state. And they were like, the music stopped, baby. It was like the music stopped. Everybody in the room looked at me and I'm like, okay, and somebody was like, 68,000, that's all? As brilliant as you are, we thought your bill would have been higher than that. So I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. They started calling out their tax bills. I paid $250,000 just last quarter. I paid $500,000, and that helped me so much because I realized it is levels to this.
And things are relative.
Thank you.
What's huge to you is small to someone else.
Come on now. When I get another 68, I will be rejoicing for a 60, at the space that I'm in now.
Yes.
But I say that just to remind us that you have to trust people who are in spaces that you want to get to. And they were able to tell me, Tiffany, the exact range of what I made based upon the tax payment and I was like, wow, but I learned so much. And that is when I shifted and added a zero the next year after. Because after I learned, like, hold on, you're paying $500,000 in taxes. And tell me more, teach me more. I invested. I wrote checks and swiped credit cards for education, for support, because that is a challenge in our community at times. They want $1 million ideas on the free 99 plan, and it does not work like that.
Yes.
It does not work. But if I invested in myself and it changed the trajectory of my financial situation. It improved the confidence that I had. It gave me perspective. No longer did I feel like a victim, how dare they think that I could pay this and I was like, okay, so the goal is to make more so that I can pay more. And it was such a blessing for me.
And you poured into yourself, you invested into yourself just the same way when someone has the idea of going to college. I have multiple degrees and I've paid a lot of money for those degrees. You have to continue to invest in yourself and pour into yourself, and that's part of it. You said you read a lot of books and then the coaching as well. You really have to do the research and you really have to invest in yourself constantly. It's not a thing where you reach a certain space or a certain place. It's continuous.
And what I was going to say is, after you research and all of that, you've still got to apply.
Yes.
I think one misquoted statement I hear all the time is knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. And you have to go scared. You have to go not knowing all of the answers. Again, going back to that scenario that I shared, I was at, I had hit a ceiling. You know, that was a large tax bill for me at that time. And I thought like, well, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna manage this? And I was in a space and I didn't, you know, like, because sometimes we can feel embarrassed and I was like, okay, well, tell me more. Like,
yes.
I was open to say like, hold on, if I'm thinking, I had the smallest tax bill in the room. And the men were saying like, Quintaria, as smart as you are, I thought you had already hit $1 million at that point. And I was like, well, show me how. So if you really want true wealth and success, or just, like I said, to live confidently and boldly, get around individuals who are doing what you would like to do.
Yes.
And you know, handle your trust issues or whatever, or move with it. I'm not saying that every aspect of me is fully healed. I jump out on with fear, you know, like, well, here we go, you know, like risk and reward go hand in hand, you know. So
and it makes absolute sense. I like to say, if you know how to make $5, you'll always know how to make $5. If you know how to make 6 figures, you'll always know how to make 6 figures. To get to the next level, you have to have someone who knows how to make that 7-figure mark. So that makes sense.
It takes a new level of, it's a new level, a skill set, it's almost like
new way of thinking.
Yes, or expanded way.
Yes.
Because I think of, especially with your connection to education, think about a math class for a first grader versus a math class for a freshman in college. Same, it's still math, but it's building blocks to it, you know, like you've got a so I want people to move in that space and know that you'll continue, if you like, to have more and be exposed to more and all of that. Be careful not to box yourself in when you've hit the ceiling where you may not know more, or you're like, okay, I'm out of options here. I don't, you know, because God always leaves a window, a door where it's like, hey, like, and it's like, oh, okay. And I followed the paths that began to illuminate for me. And I thank God for having the courage to do that, for having the courage to look crazy in some spaces, or, you know, like be corrected in some spaces, you know, because I learned a lot of this in communities that don't look like me. Sometimes people were not very nice, or sometimes people were realizing like, hey, she's pretty smart and savvy. She's picking up on a lot and all of that. And they, you know, but I still persevered. I still said that I don't care what they say, you know, or you know, like I am hearing things that are adding value. I'm seeing how it is changing my life in a dynamic way. And I'm going to bring everyone that I know and love and that is connected to me up on this level if that's where they want to be.
Yes, and I love that too, because you've been able not only to become a millionaire, but also you've helped businesses scale. You've helped people become millionaires. You've helped people scale up from 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures.
Exactly.
And not only that, but also teaching and training people to help their whole family, not just themselves.
Yes, I believe in family. When I say legacy, legacy is family and those that we're connected to, blood or not blood, you know, because I had a call the other day and a lady was like, I don't have children of my own, but I have godchildren. And I gave her strategy for them, you know, like it's the community aspect. You know, so I want our community to just understand that the freedom that they are giving up, knowing or unknowing, and to take that back and to put structures that are legal, that are in place, that you have a right to utilize, but you just don't know to utilize it. And I will say this, sometimes I often look around and I'm like, everybody's going this way, you know, like, and I'm the only one going that way. I've learned that sometimes that means you might be doing something right. And even if
Yes.
I'm not doing anything right, if all the fish are swimming downstream and I'm walking upstream, I catch a whole lot more than the other people. You know, like,
Yes.
so it is not always familiar, but it can be. You know, it can be, but I just really want our community to unlock their minds and know that you are sitting on your destiny. You are, and others, because you don't activate it, your government, other entities, other bullies out there, other scammers, you know, on so many levels are profiting on your ignorance. And I will say
Yes.
this too, because many of us, I talked earlier about, many of us are high earners now. I know I live in the DMV area, even here in the Detroit area, there are lots of people in our community that are high earners,
Yes.
right? You're prey when you're a high earner and you don't know how to protect it. You're prey when you're a high earner and you are a heavy consumer.
Yes.
They love for you to make more. They
Yes.
want you to make $1 million and not protect it and keep it. Think about Aretha Franklin. Think about James Brown. Think about Prince. Making more does not mean that you have the sustainability to keep it.
And when you don't have someone like you that's an expert in the tax code and understands how to save some of those tax, what you went through, the $68,000, they don't know how to write it off. They don't have a good tax expert that helps them to write it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a strategist. So many people too put the incorrect burden on certain roles. And I will say, and
we'll go out and buy a purse or go shopping, go take a trip. Don't think about writing the trip off or how you write it off.
Yeah.
Don't think about putting money in an IRA. They don't think about putting money in real estate and how that could help things to write off.
we should splurge and live our best life from the profits of our assets, you know, but that takes discipline.
Yes.
One thing I love about living a private life, I'm not tripping off of social media. I have
Yes.
it for certain aspects, especially like for the business, but I prefer for people not to know, you know, like what I have or what, you know, like, because you attract people that you may not want attention from. I have clients that are multi-million, some are borderline billion. They hire old CIA agents to assess their level of privacy. Operating in privacy gives you an authority and a level to move, but I think that is a clear indicator that you, when you're so concerned with showing off for others,
Yes.
or, you know, like I need to show that I went to Dubai and all of that. We've got to address those issues. We've got to address our hyper consumerism. We've got to, because that was intentional. We've got to address our broken families in the home. We've got to address these things so that as wealth comes, and I want to share this too, another point, but as wealth comes, we can steward it properly.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, so many people pray to be millionaires and you don't even have the right bank account for it. If $1 million check came in the mail today, most people don't even have the proper bank. They don't know what private banking is. They don't know that if you're on the first floor of a bank and not being invited to the 5th or the 8th or the 13th floor, your money and assets are not protected anyway.
Yes.
You know, so that's why it's so important for us to learn and for us to know how to protect the wealth that we're growing, and to know that just because people have money does not mean that they are good stewards of it or that they have strategy with it. The
Yes.
individuals that I named, those celebrities, all of them died without a will. All of them died
Yes.
they didn't even have a will.
Yes.
And so they had financial people around them. But if you don't have strategy, you're not winning. I want to give our community this as well. As one thing that is different about me, and I'll say I connect it to privacy as well. No one tells me what to do. I give the directives. Now, they may have to research and come back and say, okay, based on our research, you here are the pros and cons of what you're trying to do. But I am the visionary of my family, of my fortune, of my destiny. And like billionaires do and die, they call the meeting and they say, okay, team, this is our goal. We want to do X, Y. We want to reach the moon by 2030. And they have their experts there, and the experts dispatch, and they go do their research or whatever. So many in our community depend on, like I said, the misuse of certain professionals. They depend on their CPA to give them a tax strategy. Pay the $200, $300 for just an hour of a tax attorney's time if you don't want to hire a strategist like myself or you're not ready. Ask a tax attorney, look at my profile and tell me what I can do that will not be illegal, and then you tell your CPA, this is what I need to do. We need to command and own and understand that if you made it to sovereignty or not, you still must CEO your life. I tell people what needs to happen. And then if they come back with pros and cons, and it's like, okay, well, I'm constantly making decisions. I'm constantly showing up to banks or financial institutions with my affidavit already in hand. I've had so many bank managers, regional bank managers, come down and be like, Ms. Brunson, we've never had someone, you've got to be okay with, as you unlearn and relearn, you've got to be okay with knowing that even the structures that you would think it should be individuals there that should know better, they're caught in the same matrix you were. I've waited 3, 4, even 5 hours sometimes, but someone will sign this affidavit saying that the Social Security number that I submit is only to verify that, that I am this individual, but it will not be used beyond that. I'll wait, or I'll go to another bank. So many of us are afraid of anyone pushing back, anyone challenging us. I stand in dominion and authority, and I tell them what will happen. And well, I've shared some things with you, but many individuals would be amazed at the court cases that have been won, the certain bills that fall off, and because I challenge, and not challenge just to be a rebel, but I say, hey, based on the tax code, hey, based on the Constitution, hey, based on the contract that we have.
And it's not about being a rebel, it's about knowing your stuff.
Thank you.
And when you know your stuff, you
know it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes a lot of things don't get answered for people because it's the questions you ask. It's knowing the right question.
Or the questions they don't ask.
The question you don't ask is what hurts you.
Residential real estate, I was amazed and saddened at how many people would get 200 documents and sign them and didn't read a one.
Yes.
And reading is not just fundamental, it is how you are getting put into places where you don't know your rights, you don't know your authorities, and all contracts are negotiable. I don't care how many people are in the room. I've had to set doctors straight for my children on certain aspects. I've had to set accountants straight. Like I said, bank institutions, every contract is negotiable. But if you just say, well, okay, they're banking on your fear and you not knowing that I have the right to negotiate everywhere I go and make demands.
A lot of my viewers, I'm sure, like all human beings, will listen to this and they will have doubts and they will have fears. How do you, because I'm sure you've had doubts and fears along this pathway as well. You've just gotten to a place where you know what works. You've seen it work.
I've won enough.
You've won enough. So for those people that haven't won enough, how do you manage the fear? How do you push past it?
Well, like I continuously say, you have to search within yourself and find whatever core or kernel of trust and belief, and you have to find the divinity within yourself to know that you have the authority to ask a question. It's so sad to me that people are afraid to ask questions because a society or some type of structure has put so much fear on them, indoctrinated them so much that you don't realize they're supposed to work for you. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to work. So the first thing that I would say is know that you will have to move with fear. Fear, you don't just wake up, hit a light switch, and fear falls off of you, right? Mm-hmm. But find whatever kernel or core that you can, and with up to your level of tolerance, just keep taking steps. Keep moving. The Bible says, we prophesy in part because we know in part. So the whole picture will not be lit up for you. Even with all the wins that I've had, all of the great things that I've done, the things that I'm proud of, the plans that I have that are huge, I don't see it fully. I just see a few steps out. So I am moving in trust with that and just working what I can. So having family meetings is a level of trust. Mm-hmm. Having, making sure that you're protecting your assets, that you have adequate life insurance, that you understand why you are putting money in a 401k versus other vehicles, that you understand just on a basic principle your financial goals, your family goals, and you just move in those. But as you reach those ceilings, you continue to press forth, even in dark and uncertain areas, that you invest in yourself, yes, that you hire individuals that have had some level of success and they're winning. I used to almost beg and plead people, like, no, this will work for you, this will win. I don't play with people like that. Number one, because when you hit a certain level, the majority of my revenue is not coming from consumer interactions. You stay in the soup kitchen line if you want. If you are not willing to invest to learn more, you're probably not someone that I need to be connected to at this point anyway. Mm-hmm. But I tell people all the time, one thing about me is I won't wait for you, but I spin the block. But I'll come back around. And if you're here when, the next time we come around, feel free to hop on. But I'm not going to twist your arm and convince you that having a family legacy should be a priority for you. Yes. I'm looking for the people who have their hands raised and say, I don't know what I don't know, mm-hmm, but I want to learn, and I work with them. So you will not have, even with all that I know, I got introduced to a new concept just 2 days ago that I was like, whoa, mm-hmm, okay, that, and how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you're not going to know it all, but you never will if you don't, move forward. Trust someone outside of yourself, invest in yourself, and continue to grow from there.
Now, one last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up is life insurance. Now, my mom, when I was growing up, my mom had a life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And with the life insurance policy, she would borrow against it. And, there are different life insurance policies. A lot of people, especially, again, in our community, think life insurance is, let me buy the Gerber Life, mm-hmm, or let me buy a different life insurance policy.
Or my job has one for me.
One for me. $25,000 or $100,000, whatever it is, but they don't understand how rich people use life insurance policies.
Yes.
So can you tell us about some of the work you do with that?
Life insurance is one of our 4 pillars to how we help families and business owners build dynamic financial plans and become millionaires. It just is what it is. Wealthy families are great at leveraging and understanding the power of life insurance. There are a lot of tax deferred vehicles. There are a lot of, taxable financial vehicles, but there are only 2 tax-free financial, mm-hmm, vehicles, and life insurance is one of those 2. So with that being said, wealthy families or families that operate with a wealth mindset, they know that one guaranteed way for generational wealth is to use life insurance policies. When you have cash building life insurance policies, like your mom said, you can have your own private bank in a sense, where the cash that has accrued and that is growing in that policy, you can use it privately for anything that you need. And it's so much I could go on with life insurance policies, because one, it hurts my heart that people live their whole lives and they need a GoFundMe to be buried. But it goes so far beyond just the burial purpose. Again, you can operate in privacy and you can leverage the cash within that to do so much. And it also has generational opportunities, and that you can have. So you can use the cash that is growing. You will have a death benefit that you can leave to future generations and handle your final expenses and things of that nature. But now life insurance also has lifetime income opportunities. It has living benefits. I had a client that he and his partner had key persons insurance policies on each other because they were business partners. One of the partners got stage 2 cancer. They were able to pull from the person who had they were able to keep the business afloat, take like 900 and some odd thousand to make moves and adjust some things, hired a whole nother person for the year and a half, 2 years that he was handling this health problem, the company did not falter. It continued to move on. And he still got a check because the living benefits pays if you have a terminal illness or a critical illness, and so he was able to use that policy to not have to shut his company's doors. It didn't impact his partner. He was even able, just based on the way that I structured their partnership agreement, the partner got a $210,000 payment from that, because that's how it was structured if ever we have to enact this. And so it was a win-win-win-win in my DJ Khaled voice, for everyone. He went on to be full remission, fully recovered, and still had an asset that now was worth more and all of that. There's a reason that I don't care if you go to Nutbush or New York City, the downtowns have insurance companies all over it. The wealthy know that that is where you leverage, that is where you protect, and that is how you keep your money private, and what you're doing private is through life insurance policies.
And then just to break it down a little further, because the benefits are great, the living benefits are great, but also you mentioned bank. You can be your own bank. So people are spending $15, $25, $100 a month and more, because there are people that, so on that level, they may be spending $15, $25 a month on their insurance policy, money that they will never see. Their families will benefit, and that's a great thing, because again, we're big on generational wealth building.
Yeah.
However, there are insurance policies where you can take that same $25 a month, $100 a month. Some people put $1,000 or more a month into the insurance policy, because they know that they can take the money out when or if they need to and use it as a bank, give a loan to themselves, and the insurance policy is still there. It's still active. It's still readily available when it comes to that time to be readily available. But you can borrow against it, and you can put money back into it.
And you can do it on your own terms.
Yes.
When you borrow against your life insurance policy, you can take a loan or pull it. I recommend taking a loan, but you can take a loan, and if you didn't pay it back, they just take it out of the death benefit. You can pay it back at your own leisure. I do want to make our community aware that those $15, $25, even $100 a month policies probably don't have the greatest level of protection. And The reason why there was such a large insurance reform over the last 20 years or so is because, I don't know about you, but I remember the insurance man coming around the block, like once a month or twice a month to collect.
And they still do.
Yeah, our communities were targeted with bad policies. 25,000 in insurance, and some insurance is better than none.
Yes.
But that's not a wealth building policy.
Yes.
100,000 is not a wealth building policy on some level. So I really want to work with families so that if you only have 25 to start with, we have a modified policy that will grow with you as your family office grows, as your career grows. But because there are a lot of people who, again, as you make more and you have more disposable income, you are preyed upon.
Yes.
Like I have had a lot of people that come to my firm and we analyze their current insurance policies and we're like, this is total, you have some level of protection. But this is not building wealth for you like you would want it to. Let's reallocate a few things. Sometimes it's just as simple as cutting out Starbucks for a couple of years, right? And let's reallocate this so that you can have a multi-million-dollar bank or asset. And I speak in millions a lot because I know that it is attainable. But even if you're just like, look, all we really need, we live simple. We need $250,000. You're still not going to get that from a $25,000 policy. We can show you how to find what your family deems important, how you structure that and use that. And again, the life insurance policy provides multi-dimensional aspects that you can use now that will come into place when you need it. If there's an emergency that you can use for retirement, that is not heavily penalized like your 401ks and those type of plans. Like I could just go on and on, but I do want to make sure I address that misconception that any insurance that has you covered. You really do need to have your insurance policies. If you don't have insurance, you need to just hop on board and let's go through the process of getting you insured. But when you have policies, especially if they're those dated policies, most times we can get you an upgraded, more beneficial policy with little or no effort at all. The insurance commission almost demands that if you find someone in a bad product, that we must move you into a better product. So I would just encourage individuals to know that it's not just about the death benefit. Is your life insurance policy benefiting your life?
Yes. Yes. Quintaria, you have shared so many amazing nuggets, and I'm sure you have opened so many eyes, and you help people on different levels, from the average everyday person that's working very hard to the multi-millionaire. And I know there are people that are watching that are going to want to know how they can get in touch with you so they can get assistance from you as well and partner with you as well too. How can people get in contact with you?
My website is thebrunsonapproach.com, The Brunson Approach, and I'm at Legacy by Quintaria on every social media platform. So you can Google me, Quintaria Brunson, or you can go to our website, thebrunsonapproach.com, or Legacy by Quintaria.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't have much that I feel like we've said so much.
We went over a lot.
I always just want to leave with, know that you can decide. You have a right to decide what you want your legacy to be and to live that out. So I just want people to be empowered that just because something seems normal, everybody on the block has done the same thing, it doesn't mean that that is the only path. That just because things are normal doesn't mean that it's legal. It doesn't mean that it's illegal. You know, I hear a lot of people say, that's illegal. And it's like, well, technically it's not illegal, so just know that with proper research, trusting in yourself, reconnecting with family or those you love, because we're not meant to do this alone, right? Without my team, my family, I don't know, I would not be as successful as I am. I wouldn't have the drive to. So if I close with anything, it's for people to know that we have been lied to, but the truth is there. if you seek it and search for it, and if you're committed to find it.
Thank you. Love it. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to Thrive and Rise with Tiffany. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this information so that we can get it to others. And know that this show is about health and wellness, about building legacy, about finance and financial empowerment. I want you to be empowered mind, body, and spirit. I'm here to help you do that. I'm here to help you thrive. Make sure you check out the Know Thyself Book Series by Tiffany Tilley as well. We can thrive together. Thank you.